Hello, Book Geekers. I have a special offer for you. That's right, available for a limited time, a free audio download. This exclusive conversation titled Following Your Passion with life-engineered author J.F. Dubeau will give you inspiration and entertainment. Available for a limited time, JF tells us how he is making the transition from graphic designer to author. In a field where rejection is inevitable, JF shares his views on how he deals with it, what advice he would give anyone wishing to make a career change, and more. Janine Bay from Montreal, Quebec, Canada says, "It is inspiring and entertaining, to the point and worth the listen." Go now, FrédéricBaye.com, Following Your Passion with author J.F. Dubeau, available for a limited time. Hello, Book Geekers. This is Frédéric Baye. Thank you so much for pushing the download button. I am talking to you from right here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. You are listening to the one and only, the Book Geek Show. That's right, where books and only books rule. I am a geek. I am a guy. I am a dude. I am a bookworm. I am a writer. I am a host. I am a friend. I am a partner. I am an animal lover. This podcast is about fiction and non-fiction books that we love. Books change lives. Books entertain. Books make us grow. Basically, it is a live podcast. It is free every time you download it on iTunes. Please go over there and subscribe. It is listener supported. So the way you can do that is tell a friend. Leave a review on iTunes. Or for more podcasts, free gifts, articles, subscribe for free at www.fredericbaye.com, on Twitter at ByFred, or on Facebook, simply type in my name, Frédéric Baye, and you will be set. As usual, I always like to start off with something funny. It kind of sets the tone for the for this time with you here. This is a joke about a magician and a parrot. Listen to this. A magician worked on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. The audience will be different each week. So the magician did the same tricks each week. However, there was a problem. The captain's parrot saw the shows each week and began to understand how the magician did every trick. Once he understood, he started shouting out the secrets in the middle of the show. "Look, it's not the same hat. Look, he is hiding the flowers under the table. Hey, why are all the cards the ace of spades?" The magician was furious but couldn't do anything. It was, after all, the captain's parrot. One day, the ship had an accident and sank. The magician found himself with a parrot, adrift on a piece of wood in the middle of the ocean. They stared at each other with hatred, but did not utter a word. This went on for a day, then another, and another. Finally, after a week, the parrot said, "Okay, I give up. Where the heck is the boat?" All right. Hey, you know what? I like that one. I like that little joke. All right, let's start off. Hey, last week's blog, I posted the English version of my interview with author Gan Ima. She asked some wonderful questions for all you English speaking people out there, which you are the majority of my audience. I translated the entire interview for you, just for you. It's on my blog. It's on FrédéricBaye.com. Go check it out if you want to know more about me. This is a great interview. And this is an interview I think that can help some people. So hopefully it will help you if you need inspiration, motivation, entertainment, everything in between. Go now, FrédéricBaye.com. Hey, right before we step into the interview with this friend of mine here who is a lawyer. That's right. This is a very, very exciting interview. I told you last week that my cat, my lovely cat, we let him out and he never came back. And so now it's been more than a week. He didn't show up yet. And we're planning on getting a new cat. That's right, because my lovely sweetheart cannot stand seeing the other cat, the one that remained in the house, by herself. And the remaining cat, the cat that is in the house, is now a lot more, she's always around us now. And, anyway, I just wanted to give you a little update on my loss. All you animal lovers out there, man, it sucks to lose an animal or to not know where it is, when it's just out there in the streets and in the city. I really just, I don't know. It kind of sucks, and, so anyway, I sympathize with you. Another friend of mine told me that he let his dog out for him to go to do number 1 and number 2, and never came back. So it's really a sad thing when it happens. Anyway, that brings me to today's interview, ladies and gentlemen. Have you read Take Me Home by Nancy Harkness, which is the current number 1 Amazon bestseller, by the way? And what about The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King? Geekers, that's right. This week we have a controversial but common subject. Divorce. When couples say goodbye. It's an inspiration for so many stories, novels, and non-fiction books. I said, you know what? I'm going to call a friend of mine, a lawyer, to talk about it. And I also decided to talk about it because as many of you geekers, I know many of you are single. Many of you are also in relationships. Relationships break up. And I think when you're single, this is the time, to build, to work on yourself, right? And when you're in the beginning of a relationship, I think it's important to understand everything that may happen in a relationship. It's like insurance, right? And unfortunately, life goes on, life changes, and sometimes, hey, you know what? We say goodbye. We said goodbye to our partners. We say goodbye to whomever. So today, ladies and gentlemen, book geekers, this is a subject, I think one of the main subjects used by so many books. Somebody who betrays us, somebody who lets us down, somebody who says, you know what, I don't want to be with you anymore. And I just thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do a show about that. I called a friend of mine. He's a lawyer. Strap your seatbelts because this is an episode that could change your life in a positive way. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the interview. Hello. So we are here with attorney at law, Thierry Mugot. He's a lawyer. How are you today, Thierry?
I'm fine. You?
I am fabulous. Thank you for joining the show. It's an honor to have you here. And so let's get started. Give us a brief overview of your background.
Well, I was born in Cameroon, in the southern province, Ebolovo. And I attended primary and secondary school in Cameroon. After I had my GCE advanced level, I left to Germany, where I pursued my education. I started studying law in Germany. And 4 years after, I immigrated to Canada. I moved to Canada, and I continued my study until I became a lawyer in Canada. That was in 2012.
Okay, interesting. And what motivated you to become a lawyer?
Basically, I had no personal motivation. Back then I what I did in secondary school was arts, arts, literature, history, and geography, and arts courses. So I had my choices as long as studies are concerned. My choices were limited. So I had to choose between political science, literature, languages, and since I wanted to do something very practical, I went for law. So when I started studying law, I enjoyed it, and that's how I finally became a lawyer. I just enjoyed it. I had no personal motivation for going into law.
Okay, that's interesting because, you come from an African country, Cameroon,
exactly.
And motivations to do something are very different over there than here.
You're right.
Here we're looking more for passion and we're looking for purpose. And I think it's hard oftentimes to to be to be someone from another country to come over here and with that type of mentality. I think sometimes it's hard to understand. Wouldn't you agree?
Of course, I agree with you, but I will certainly say that one of the motivation here is social status too. I mean, there are a lot of young men that are motivated in some studies or some path because later they want to have a better status in the society, or they want to have a better paycheck. That's one of the motivation too. But I also agree with you in the sense that the best motivation that one can have is the passion, because if you're passionate about what you're doing, you will certainly do it right. And I found my passion by, I wasn't at the first place, I was not motivated to go into law. I didn't have a personal motivation to go into law, but once I started doing it, I enjoyed it and I was passionate about it.
Awesome. Because you're lucky. For a lot of people, that's not the case.
Exactly. Thank you very much. In just to add to what we were saying, it's a domain in which if you have no passion, if you go for it just for the paycheck or the status, you won't make it. You really need a passion to go through it because it's so complicated and so demanding.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's very important for people to know. I totally agree with you. Anything you do, everything we do, we have to have a passion. That's what's going to get us through the tough times.
Exactly.
All right. So, today's subject is really about divorce. I know, you are specialized in that. You do a lot of things as a lawyer, but, today's subject is going to be divorce because I think that divorce is something that happens a lot in our society. I think the idea of marriage is not the same as it was back in the day, or our parents, generation. And I just thought that divorce was a very strong subject for a lot of people. So tell us, as an attorney, what is the most common cause of divorce you've encountered?
The word common, it's like, there is the divorce cases are very, very similar. That's what is interesting in it. The cases are very, very similar. It's always about, the issues are always, especially when children are involved, the issues are always about child support and to decide who is going to have the children the most of the time and who is going to have access and how the access rights are going to be exerted. I don't know if you get me.
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, you're meaning that basically who's going to keep the children is basically what most people fight about.
Exactly. It's always the same thing. When children are involved, the fight is about who is going to have the children the most of the time, and how is the other parent is going to have access to the children. That's one thing. Another fight is about which school are the children going to be in. Like one parent might say, I want my child to be in this or that school. The other parent is going to say, no, I think this or that is better. Okay, that's one thing. In divorce cases, you also have arguments about who is going to keep the house or how are things going to be shared. So divorce cases are very, very, very similar. Very similar.
And okay, but what leads to divorce in most cases?
I beg your pardon, I didn't get you.
What leads to the divorce? Okay, we know.
What could be the causes?
Yes.
Okay. And nowadays, in my personal experience, it depends on the communities. For instance, African communities, most of things that lead to divorce, that lead to divorces might be one, financial stress in the couple. Okay.
What, can you repeat that?
Financial problems, financial stress.
In the African community?
In the African community, yes. There is financial stress, for example. And what I witnessed in the other communities, like, because I have some clients that are Quebecois, most of the time divorce causes are related to infidelity.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Not even I thought that finances were the number one cause in Quebec.
In my personal experience in the African community, financial causes are the first. Financial causes rank first because financial problems cause disputes in these families, and usually it will lead to a divorce. Most of the file that I've had in that involve the Quebecois, it's most of the time cheating and lack of trust.
Okay. And by Quebecois, you mean Quebecer?
Yes, Quebecer, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, and give us a picture of the emotions people are experiencing when going through such a situation.
There are a lot of emotions. There is bitterness, there is jealousy, there is anxiety. It hurts. Especially if in a divorce, the party that is much hurt by the separation, would be more likely to display this negative emotion. There are a lot of negative emotions around, and these negative emotions provoke wrong behaviors, irrational behaviors. You will see one partner will start doing things just in order to hurt the other. When children are involved, for example, they will try to use the children to hurt the other party. You understand?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And I think, yeah. If you haven't gone through a divorce, it's hard to understand. Yeah. When children are involved, I listen to Dr. Phil sometimes, and he always says children should not be involved in adult problems.
Exactly.
So today's subject, we're talking about a very, very, very important subject. We're talking about divorce. 50% of couples that get married divorce. And we are here with attorney at law, Thierry Mugot. Thierry, I've known you for maybe 3 years now, 4 years.
4 years, I think.
Yeah, I think around 4 years.
Yeah.
So tell me, can people get a divorce without the consent of their spouse?
Yes. There are two ways to get a divorce in Canada. You can get it by having the consent of the other party. It's gonna be it's gonna be very easy because both the parties can use one lawyer. Okay, the lawyer is gonna draft the joint divorce application. Both parties are going to sign the joint divorce application. If there are things to be shared, they're going to draft a consent of the way they want things to be shared. If there are children involved, they're going to prepare the modalities of who is going to have the children most of the time, or if it's a 50% split. We're gonna draft the modalities, and everything is going to be set just for a judge to sign, to say, okay, everything is okay, and sign and deliver the certificate of divorce, certificate of divorce. That's the most easiest way to get a divorce, by consent. But you can also get a divorce. One party might file for a divorce and have it through court with or without contestation from the other party, if the other party has exerted physical or emotional abuse on the party who is filing, or if the other party has committed adultery, or if the two parties have lived separately for 1 year. Those are the legal causes of divorce in Canada.
Oh, that's interesting. So there are two ways. One is the consent of both parties, which is the easiest.
Yes.
The other is, you mentioned, there has to be either physical abuse, adultery, or you don't live. I mean, you live separately for over a year.
No, what I just to correct, because the way what I said is that you can have it by consent or with contestation if you have one of the three reasons listed.
Okay.
But what you need to understand is that even by consent, the judge would need to know if there is a legal cause for it. So even when we draft a joint divorce by consent, we also need one of these three reasons, But to answer your question very basically, is that you can get a divorce by consent, or if the other party doesn't want to consent, you can still go to court and get a divorce if you have the three reasons.
Okay. But how do you prove adultery? Physical abuse, you can prove it. You can see the scars. You can take pictures. Yeah. How do you prove adultery?
You prove adultery as you prove any case in a civil court. You have to go by the balance of probability. That's, you can bring circumstantial evidences, like maybe pictures, or maybe exchanges of emails, exchanges of messages, things that can lead the judge to believe that it is more probable that he cheated or she cheated than not. You understand?
Yep, I told you. So basically, yeah.
Exactly. Everything that you have, it could be technological document, it could be email exchanges, it could be testimonies of people that saw he or she doing it. So if you can put up evidences and testify in front of the court that you believe there is cheating going on, if the judge is convinced by a balance of probability, it's usually 51% versus 49% 49. Like, just convince the judge 1% more than the other party that you're right, that what you're saying happened. The judge might come to the conclusion that there has been adultery and a divorce could be pronounced. But nowadays, I've never had an adultery case. It's very, very scarce. What people would do is, if they find out that, not that I've never had an adultery case, I've never had to defend or to bring up evidence regarding adultery. You understand what I mean? Is that what people will rather do is, if they find out that the other party is cheating, they will leave. Okay, rent another apartment. Okay, and when they file for a divorce, we always go with the easier criteria to prove. And the easier criteria to prove is 1 year separation. So when we file, we say, before granting the divorce, the parties would have lived separately for 1 year. So we don't have to go through the stress of gathering evidence to prove the adultery.
Yep. Okay. We get that. Okay. 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 So let's go back to the children. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've seen a lot of cases, and what are the effects of divorce on children that you noticed the most?
Mm-hmm. First of all, I would say a lot of negative effects. Because
give us an example.
Yes, I'm going to get to one. Mostly because children are used in legal battles in order to hurt the other party sometimes, you know.
Yep.
For example, a parent will pay expensive fees in order to prevent another parent, the other party from seeing the child, because she wants the full, because she wants to have full custody of the child, you understand? And she'll pay expensive fees in order to prevent the other parent from having the child, make up stories about how he's a bad parent, and so usually children are, because children normally love both parents, you know, but both parents sometimes hate each other in a divorce context. They hate each other. Then the how does it affect children is that there is a conflict of loyalty. Understand? When the child is with mommy is saying bad things about daddy. When the child is somewhere where mommy and daddy are around, there is a conflict of loyalty. The child really doesn't know who to trust, who to love more. You understand? That's the most damaging effect in the psychology of children when it comes to divorce.
Okay.
Because there is also just to finish what I was saying, there is also the parts that regard the alienation of it. When the mom is talking, it's bad mouthing the dad to the child, or when the dad is bad mouthing the mom to the child. Those have negative effect in the psychology of the child.
So basically the effect is really like you said, conflict of loyalty.
Exactly.
I mean, how many? I mean, we always hear children say when they become teenagers or adults, they always say when their parents divorced, how painful it was, and they always feel guilty.
Exactly. Some of them.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's no secret, the effect on children. All right. So let's move on. We're talking about divorce with attorney at law, Thierry Mugot. So Thierry, tell us, What are the various financial aspects of divorce?
The first financial aspect of the first very important, maybe not the most important, very important financial aspect of divorce is family patrimony. That's for couples who have lived long and accumulated a lot of assets. There are family patrimony, there are bequests, there is child support. They can also be spouse support in some cases. Family patrimony concerns the assets that have been acquired in the period in which the two parties lived together. Everything that was acquired by each of the parties before doesn't fall into family patrimony. Okay? Child support, very important when children are involved. As soon as a divorce case is filed, as the first appearance in court, the judges or the lawyers would want to have a safeguard order regarding child support. What is going to be paid to the children while the divorce proceedings are going on? Because this process can take 1 or 2 years before the divorce is settled, before everything is settled. So in the meantime, the parents are going to live. Most of the time they are separated while these proceedings are going on. So the first days in court, either the lawyers agree on something or the judge is going to render a safeguard order to say in the meantime, if the mother have child custody like 80% of the time, then dad has 20% of the time. Dad will have to pay child support in the meantime. Okay? And sometimes if in the couple, the woman or the man, one of the parties have not worked for a long time because they were at home trying to support the other party, in that case, there might be spouse support. There might be alimony for the wife also, or for the man that's not working.
Okay. So you would say patrimony, child support, and spouse support are the main ones?
Exactly.
And on average, how much does it cost to have the services of a lawyer?
It depends. It depends on the file and on the client. Mostly the cases that I have in divorce, mostly these cases are referrals from legal aid. These are people that have very limited means, so they are admissible to legal aid. So we do the job. We also pay the court fees for them. We pay the bailiff fees, and after we send a bill to legal aid, and legal aid pay their fees. So these fees could be around, for a full divorce file. It couldn't be maximum. It couldn't be more than $1,500, depending on the file, depending on how many times you go to court, depending on how many safeguard orders you have to seek for your client. But a simple file, a very simple divorce file, might not cost more than $1,500 for this type of, for the clients that are eligible to legal aid, because it's legal aid that pays the fees, and legal aid doesn't pay the bill, based on the hours. Legal aid pays the bill based on there is a table of fees that legal aid has from law. So the fees are paid based on that table.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. You know, I can just imagine the financial aspect of everything. I mean, including in a divorce.
It can be.
I mean,
I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead.
It can also be more and way more expensive than what I told you. What I just explained to you is these are the clients that are eligible to legal aid. Clients that have more, that are doing well in life, that have more money. It could be, I can even tell you sky is the limit, you know, because they can spend way more, because we have lawyers that charge $350 or $400 per hour in family law. So you can imagine if we have a very complex case of family law, the fees can go way more than $100,000, $50,000, and so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. All right, so walk us through a basic strategy when you meet a woman with 2 or 3 children who doesn't work and who is financially dependent on the income of her husband. You know, I know a lot of women in this situation, and, you know, we often think that today's generation women are more independent and all of that, but I think there are many women who are in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Walk us through a basic strategy.
Okay. It's very simple. Once we meet a client who is in such a situation, there are a few things we need to know. First, where is she living with the children? Is she living in the rented apartment with the children, or is she living in the family home with the children? And where is the man? Okay? Because the problem is that when they are involved in a divorce, the mother can leave with the children, or the man can just leave the family home or the apartment. Okay? If we are talking about an apartment, that means there is rent involved. So if the man just left, who is paying rent? If it's a family home, if the man just left, who is been taking care of the mortgage? So these are pressing issues, because if it's an apartment, if nobody is taking care of rent, this family might be evicted. Okay? If it's a home, if nobody is taking care of the mortgage, they might also be evicted. So these are very pressing questions. Then there is the children. What's going on with the children? How is, in fact, who is taking care of the children most of the time? Did the father left with the children, or did the father leave without taking the children? So these are the more pressing questions. And what we do immediately at that point, we try to have a safeguard order to settle this point as soon as possible. So when we draft the divorce application, we also draft a motion for safeguard order. We're going to ask the judge very urgently, because the situation is always urgent, to render a safeguard order that mom is going to be taking care of the children for the meantime. Dad is going to pay each and so amount that is calculated from his salary. We have a software to do the calculation. Dad is going to pay so and so amount in the meantime, so and so amount per month in the meantime. And Dad is also going to pay the rent, or he's going to continue to pay the mortgage while the divorce while the process is going forward. So the strategy here would be to act as quickly as possible to secure the safeguard orders regarding the children and regarding the where the family is going to be living for the meantime. After we've secured that, we can look whether the mom that hasn't been working for a long time could also have spouse support from the other spouse. So we'll try to secure support for her in the meantime while the process is going forward. After that is it's pretty simple, because the rest is to check if there are assets that fall into family patrimony, or are there acquits. If there are assets that fall into family patrimony, that's going to be those things are going to be dealt with at the end, when we've already secured the pressing issues.
Okay. And how long does it take to resolve a case like this one?
A case like this one could be resolved if there is no fights regarding, if there are no big fights regarding who is going to take care of the kids, how much the father is going to pay for the child support. It could take 2 years, 1 and 2 years, not less than 1 year, never less than 1 year. Because in order for the file to be ready to be heard for the final hearing, there is a 1 year delay. Nevertheless, divorce files can last 15, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Why?
Really?
Yes. Because it's never over. It's never over. It depends on the parties and on the files. It's never over, especially when children are involved, or especially if the spouse is receiving support. Because any time that something changes in the situation of one of the party, there might be a file. I'll give you an example. Mr. A is making $50,000 today. Mrs. P is making $0 per year. Okay? They filed for a divorce case. They have 2 children, 2 or 3 children, based on your example. They have 2 or 3. They have 2 children. On 2015, I go to court. I get a safeguard order for Madam B. Madam B has to receive $1,000 per month from Mr. A.
Mm-hmm.
On, let's say, 2017 or 2018, Madam B has gone through a program, and she started working. Now she's making $45,000 a year. I'll receive an application from the lawyer of Mr. A saying, hey, we've been paying Madam B $1,000 for the kids. Now she's making 45. Let's do the math. Mm-hmm. Let's redo the math. So we're going to redo the math, and maybe it's going to come down to $400. Okay? 2 years later, the first child is now 18. He's a boy. He's now 18. He's missing his dad so much. And the 20% time that his dad spends with him is not enough. And he tells his mother, Mom, I feel I would love to go live with Daddy. Okay? So we're going to receive an application from Daddy's lawyer saying, listen, Mike is 18 years old. He wants to relate more with his daddy. He wants to live with his daddy in the town nearby or somewhere else. So we're drafting an application to change child custody. So you see, the child custody is going to pass from madam to everything that you need to change once the divorce process is on. If you want to change a safeguard order, if you want to change a final judgment, you must draft a motion. It must go through a motion. After the motion, the two parties can agree with their lawyers and sign a consent that the judge is going to homologate. Or if the two parties don't agree, they're going to go before the judge and argue, and the judge is going to decide. So that's why I'm saying it can last so long.
Okay. We're talking about divorce with attorney at law, Thierry Mugo. All right, Thierry, let's, I got two more questions. What is the most overlooked aspect of marriage by couples? Should they get a prenup?
I don't think prenup prevent people from getting a divorce. Is prenup neglected in Canada? Yes.
Okay.
But with or without prenup, there are divorces, you know. I don't think it's prenup. It's important, especially for those who are rich, who are wealthy, because the wealthy couples, the couples where there is, like, let's say the man is wealthy or the woman is wealthy, those are the type of divorce that are very complex and that take a long time, stress, and a lot of resources, a lot of money and everything. So it's very important to those type of couples to have a prenup. Very important, because the prenup is gonna set what should be done in case there is a divorce.
Last question. As a lawyer and in your personal experience, what is the number one advice you would give to newlywed couples or those who are already married or who are about to get married?
To exercise a lot of tolerance. A lot of tolerance. People, we are not perfect. People are not perfect. And what we see today with divorce cases, people divorce for petty reasons, for just divorce for. Back then, our parents knew how to settle their differences, you know. Nowadays, people divorce because of simple financial stress. Because the man, let's say the man is laid off, he's going to go through some tough months. And what we can ask the woman or the lady is to stick by the man, you know, support him to go through the difficult period and not just start complaining and get a divorce. You understand what I mean? So
absolutely.
We have to exercise a lot of tolerance. I believe that marriage, it's a love thing, but it's also a partnership thing. When it's going wrong, when it's going bad, the couple has to stick together and try to work things out, and not just try to get out of it, because we live in an individualistic society. And to other couples that divorce because of infidelity, you know, it can happen. People make mistakes, you know. And to some couples, to avoid physical and moral violence. Your wife or your husband is your partner, it's your friend. It's not your foe. It's not your enemy. So you shouldn't fight him or her. So those are the advices that I can give. You know, as a lawyer, it's my job to go to court and settle divorce cases and so. But I will tell you, there is one thing I enjoy more. I enjoy I enjoy the consent divorces more than the contest one. That relates to the question you asked me before, the type of if you can only get a divorce by consent. Because sometimes when two people realize that it's not working no more, they'll consent to divorce. But it's going to be better for them to live separately. It's the contested one that's more stressful that we hate to see.
Yeah. We can imagine that. Okay, we can imagine that. Hey, Thierry, thank you very much for your knowledge. Thank you very much for your wisdom. Thank you very much for your advice. I think that was a very, very interesting interview. I think that was an in-depth interview, and I think I'm happy you were very. I think you're very honest. I think you're. I know you personally. I know you're a good guy.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Maybe not. I don't know. You're a lawyer now. I don't know. But
I'm a lawyer, but I know you.
Yeah. All right, Thierry. Hey, thank you very much. And good luck in your future. And thank you again for your advice.
Thank you. I wish you the best too.
All right. God bless you.
Bye.
That's all for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found it helpful. If you want to listen to more episodes, you can visit fredericbaye.com/podcast. If you'd like to connect, you can also tweet me @byfred, or you can find me on Facebook @FrédéricBaye_writer. And remember, live with purpose, passion, and love.